Yes, we are live. Hello, agents. Thank you so much for joining us. This is our first panel discussion of the afternoon. We're going to be finding out how the UK market to Australia has been performing, what the outlook is, and with that particular focus, of course, on the luxury sector, and digging a bit deeper into the trends and the products that agents can be capitalising on in 2023 and beyond when thinking about their luxury customers. We've got a wonderful panel to guide us through that over the next half hour. Let's say a quick hello to Sally Cope, who is Regional General Manager for the UK and Northern Europe at Tourism Australia. Hello to you, Sally.
Hi, Pippa. Thank you.
Lovely to have you with us. Georgia Blackburn, who is Regional General Manager UK MEA at Qantas. Hello, Georgia.
Hello.
Hi. And finally, Sarah Lancashire, who is Marketing Director at Gold Medal and also Pure Luxury specifically as well. Hi, Sarah.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Hello. Welcome, agent guests. I can see some names I recognise here. Thank you for tuning in. Please do ask questions as we go. You can use the chat and Q&A button to type any questions in, anything that springs to mind while we're chatting with our experts, and we will endeavour to answer those questions as we go. Okay, Sally, can I come to you first, please? To get a bit of a scene setter for us. Where are we up to now? It's about just over a year, I believe, isn't it, since Australia was able to fully open its doors to international visitors. How has that gone? How did the reopening all go? And how is the UK market looking for you at the moment?
That date, 21st of February 2022, is embedded on my psyche when the borders reopened and people could travel back to Australia. From the UK market, we saw an immediate surge of arrivals, and that really spoke to the strong ties between the UK and Australia. A lot of that was people trying to reconnect with friends and family. So the VFR market really helped get the market moving again. And we've been gradually growing month on month for the whole of the year. By the time we got to the end of December, we were at about 80% of pre-COVID levels. But what was interesting about that was the percentage of people travelling who said that they were travelling for VFR was around 65%. That's quite high. In a normal pre-COVID world, it would be about 50-50 out of this market. So that was fabulous because VFR traffic really drove the arrivals. When we looked at the bookings coming in or the arrivals coming in from January, though, there was a definite shift change, and a lot of the agents that we speak to say the same thing. So that peaks booking period really had a lot more of the leisure sales coming in, and there's a lot more of the holiday traffic travelling, which is great because that's what we're after. And I'm hearing that the average spend per person is higher than it was pre-COVID. The average length of stay is slightly higher. So I wonder whether that's people actually saved annual leave, they saved some money during that lockdown period, and now they're taking that big holiday that they all really deserve. So we're feeling really optimistic about 2023. Our aviation capacity out of this market is back to about 70%. Thank you, Qantas, who are back 100%, but we still need some more capacity on the route to really help fulfil that demand that's coming through.
So you could fill more planes if there was more capacity around.
Yeah.
That's Qantas nicely. Georgia, coming over to you, can you give us a sort of idiot's guide to Qantas's product from the UK down to Australia for any agent guests who aren't so familiar with selling it? What do you have? What sort of capacity and fleet and cabin types, etc.?
Absolutely. So like Sally says, we are back at sort of 100% of our capacity as we were pre-COVID because demand was just so strong immediately coming out of the UK market. So we operate a daily A380 service to Sydney via Singapore. So that holds 485 passengers. So we've got 14 first class seats, 70 in business, 60 in premium economy, and then 340 odd seats in economy. And then we've also got a daily 787 service, which flies directly into Perth. So slightly smaller aircraft. That one holds just over 230 odd people, 42 business class, 28 premium economy, 160 odd in economy. So, the demand, I think, as Sally said, right, demand is extremely strong, like we have been and have for a long time now, departing flights that are pretty full across all cabins. I think we're definitely seeing post-COVID a real traveller preference for point-to-point travel, and, sort of avoiding connections or, that COVID risk, I suppose. So, we're in particular seeing really, really strong demand for that London-Perth flight. I think the other thing that makes us very, very happy is we're seeing really strong demand for the premium cabins post-COVID. So I think definitely, that psychology of COVID, people have decided to treat themselves and fly in premium cabins, and we're absolutely hoping that mindset prevails for a while longer.
Great, that's really good news. I'm coming to you, Sarah. What can you tell us about how big Australia is for pure luxury and gold medal more widely, if you'd like, as well? Is it always been a really important destination?
Yeah, absolutely. Australia has always been a really important and popular destination for both gold medal and pure luxury, and that's really no different coming out of the pandemic. Australia is currently our number 3 destination, and that's behind UAE and USA. So it just shows how important the destination is for us across both of those brands and all of our product. One thing I would say is just to echo what Sally said, coming out of the pandemic, that VFR market was huge for us. But there's been that real shift now, and a real significant shift towards more tailor-made itineraries. And certainly from a luxury standpoint, we're seeing high-end accommodation being coupled with luxury experiential focuses, really. So things like the first-class train journeys, cross-country rail journeys, and, as I said, that high class accommodation, but also combined with experiences such as I'm trying to remember the name of it, make sure I get it right now, the Taliwiru fine dining experience with those incredible views over Uluru. And also, I suppose that, coming back to your point, Georgia, about that premium flight cabin, we're definitely seeing an uptick in the demand for premium flights, which is interesting because of the demand situation, the capacity situation. I think we found that our premium flights prices were around 67% more than 2019, and economy were 89% more. So the fact that people are still choosing to spend to travel to Australia, I think actually works well for the luxury market, and works well then when people are wanting to pull together those bucket list trips. And at the end of the day, if you're spending that sort of money to get there, then it makes sense that they're going to also want that premium experience on the ground when they do get there. So very exciting to see. And again, as Sally said, our average booking value is up 175% year on year on 2019. So our average booking value is around 17,000. So that just goes to show people are spending money. I definitely think that's a trend. That bucket list trend, I think, used to be once in a lifetime. I wonder whether there's actually a bit of a flip now when people are thinking it's once this year. That's my, I'm going to go on an incredible trip this year and next year and the year after that. I think people recognise the privilege it is to travel maybe and travel further afield.
Yeah.
I got on my soapbox a bit then, didn't I?
It's great to hear your passion. Sally, we have a luxury focus for Aussie Fest this year, which is exciting. Luxury is one of those terms, isn't it? It's quite difficult to define what a luxury holiday or a luxury experience is. What do you feel Australia luxury is all about?
You're so right. Luxury means different things to different people. And I agree with what Sarah was just saying. It feels like there's a bit of a sense of carpe diem, as in, seize the day. People are wanting to indulge themselves after a couple of years of having their wings clipped. In Australia, we have a lot of big international luxury hotel brands that are very familiar and recognisable to people. Brands like If Only, the newly opened Capella in Sydney. I even read recently that just starting development, there's going to be a Waldorf Astoria in Sydney. So big international hotel brands that are known for luxury. But I think what is distinctly Australian luxury is when you start to travel throughout the regions and you encounter the luxury lodges of Australia, the small scale premium tour operators in Australia. And that's where you can get that sense of place, privilege of access to these beautiful, pristine, remote locations where you can be, what's a good example? I mean, Sarah mentioned Tali Wiru, which is a dining experience at longitude 131 in the outback. So that's where you can be in your luxury tent. It's not really a tent with its ensuite bathroom. You can have the swag rolled out on the deck so you can lie outside underneath the stars at night, have a beautiful fine dining meal by candlelight, on a sand dune. That's what I really think Australian luxury is. It's that sense of place, privilege of access to these beautiful locations, meeting Australians and having that down-to-earth Australian warm Aussie welcome as part of the service delivery. And I think the easiest way to describe it would be, say, dusty boots by day and a fine red wine in the evening. That's Aussie luxury to me.
That sounds incredible. And it sounds like as a destination as well, you've already got some very strong focus on luxury product, things like the luxury lodges portfolio, just make it that little bit easier for the trade to identify and highlight those sorts of products to their customers.
That's exactly right. As the National Tourism Board, we've got a program called Signature Experiences of Australia, and we highlight for want of a better expression, the best in category of different styles of tourism experiences or visitor experiences. So whether that is luxury lodges, the great walks of Australia, the ultimate winery experiences of Australia, it's just a way of making it easier for travel agents to find that best in class, depending on what their clients are looking for.
And those would be resources that agents could easily get from.
Absolutely. You can find it. The easiest way to find it is actually via our Aussie Specialist Training Program. Each Signature Experience collection has a training module, so you can do a deep dive on the ones that are of interest to you.
Great. Emma says she'd love more details on the luxury camping experience. We'll make sure you get information on that, Emma. I'm sure Sarah can put you in the right direction on how to book that with your luxury. And Meg says dusty boots by day and a fine red wine sounds like heaven. I agree.
I agree.
Thank you very much. Georgia, if I can come back to you now, we have talked a bit about price, haven't we? I mean, and bookings are still flying, which is great to hear. Do you think there are any customers who are perhaps, maybe downgrading to economy that would previously have been first and business? I guess it's hard for you to know that, isn't it, from taking the bookings? But I'm just really interested that clients have got more to spend on flights than even pre-COVID, and you'd say the price is just not putting customers off at all.
It doesn't seem so. I know it feels a bit incongruous, right? You would expect people to be down trading through a cabin versus up trading, but I think what our research tells us is that people are foregoing other aspects of their budgets at the moment in order to preserve, those funds that they've set aside for their holidaying. And no, I mean, our experience thus far, to be honest, is the demand is really, really kind of staying strong in those premium cabins. If anything, where we're sort of seeing, some more traditional kind of booking patterns emerge, it's probably more the economy cabin, but that premium demand is still strong.
That's interesting. We've got a question which might be well placed for you, actually, Georgia, from Dr. Noreen. Hi, Dr. Noreen. She's asking around how far in advance agents should be looking to book a holiday to Australia, just with being mindful that capacity is a bit squeezed. What would you say there on how, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months out is looking, Georgia?
So we are definitely seeing that sort of longer booking curve starting to come back. So, when we talk to some of our trade partners, they're telling us that they're starting to see sort of that 6 to 9 month booking window return, sort of immediately out of the pandemic, that long booking period that was typical for people from the UK looking to come to Australia really shortened up. A lot of that driven by VFR. What I would say is if you're looking to find value, then, sort of looking further out, kind of talking to your customers about being flexible about day of week, time of year, that will be really, really handy in terms of helping you find value. Given I understand, prices, and I know we'll probably get onto this in a minute, prices are sort of reasonably high at the moment.
Yes. And you've got some exciting news on its way as well, haven't you, at Qantas? Can you tell us a little bit more about Project Sunrise?
Sunrise, I absolutely can tell you lots about Sunrise. Favourite part of my job, talking about Sunrise. So for those who haven't heard of it, Sunrise is Qantas's project to basically fly direct from Heathrow into the east coast of Australia, so into Sydney and Melbourne. So, we know that pretty much these two cities are about, they're on opposite sides of the planet. It's, a long way for people to come. So the goal of Sunrise is to make travel between the UK and Australia, easier, more comfortable, faster than it's ever been before. So we've ordered, so the planes that can do it are an Airbus A350-1000 for the people who love planes. So we've ordered 12 of those. We've just unveiled the business and first class suites that we will have available on those aircraft. The manufacturer of those is actually not far away from everybody in Wales. They produce a really, really premium product. The manufacturer is called Saffron. So the first class suite is kind of like a little mini boutique hotel room. You've got a really nice wide fixed bed. You've got a beautiful big recliner chair. You've got a wardrobe, a dining table for two. So uber premium experience. The business class suite, it's got a 2-metre flat bed, sliding doors on it, so that everyone can have a bit of privacy in that cabin. I think one of the other things we're doing with Sunrise, which has proven really great for customers with our direct London-Perth flights, we are doing research alongside the University of Sydney with an institute called the Charles Perkins Institute, and doing a lot of research about the well-being of our cabin crew and customers on ultra long-haul flights. So scientifically, what are the things that you can do in terms of cabin lighting, cabin temperature, what kind of food we serve you, and when we serve it, that will, kind of help you manage your well-being and manage your jet lag on those flights. So, that research has sort of helped that Perth-London flight become our flight with the highest level of customer satisfaction on that route. So we're confident when we do launch it. At this stage, we're hoping sort of late 2025.
Right.
It will be the absolute best way for people to get between the UK and Australia.
But they can't book it yet.
They can't book it yet. No, it's a little ways off yet. But we are working hard to make it a reality as fast as we possibly can.
Wonderful. Yeah, I've got a few agents asking when will these be on sale. So yes, shouldn't
I promise
be
you, I'm asking the same question of our network team. At the moment, we're saying late 2025.
Can't wait.
Sarah, talking about new products, what can you tell us about what Pure Luxury has maybe introduced new in the last couple of years, or anything that's really kind of come to the fore and selling really well, maybe?
Yeah, I think one thing that we've really noticed is the I mentioned the cross-country luxury rail journeys earlier. We've noticed that one of the things that we are doing well with, and customers are certainly asking for, are those extended rail packages, so longer stays. We might have lost Pippa, I think, but I'll carry on. Those longer stays, whether they be in Perth, Margaret River, Sydney and the Blue Mountains, so those sort of things are something that we've really, really noticed. I think in terms of looking at what we can offer, for example, if I take Sydney, we're looking at really extending our portfolio and adding in new experiences and luxury experiences to the programme. So, for example, there's a dining cruise, and then there's bespoke performance and dining packages at Sydney Opera House. So really looking at what we can, for what is really an incredibly popular destination in the city for our luxury customers, making sure that we're offering the best that the city has to offer. So we've been looking at how we can pull together packages and experiences that reflect that. I think that's been a key thing for in terms of what's new into the pure luxury portfolio. And then I guess obviously the new properties. Earlier Sally mentioned Capella Sydney. Of course, that's absolutely on our radars. And in the Greater South Australia area, a long anticipated newly built Southern Ocean Lodge on Kangaroo Island. You know, Kangaroo Island having been listed as one of the world's greatest places in 2023, and with Southern Ocean Lodge opening, I think, later this year, I'd argue that it's possibly going to be one of the places to stay for the luxury traveller. So I guess from a pure luxury point of view, it's making sure that we've got our fingers on the pulse in terms of what are the key openings to add to our portfolio for our agents, really.
And do you think the luxury traveller knows about some of these books, Sarah, and kind of comes to your team, well, goes to the travel agent rather, asking about those things? Or do you think it's really on the agent to be suggesting these inspiring, iconic experiences?
Mm-hmm. I think it's both. I think there will be people who are absolute Australia aficionados, and maybe they've been 2, 3, 4 times, and they know that it's such a vast and diverse place, and that you can go and experience something entirely different each time you visit. So they may know exactly what they want to do. However, I do think that for our agents, we've got a job to do, all of us here, to support our agents in being able to really be able to guide what their customers are asking for. So I think that's one thing, that a tip that I would say and that our team would say is that really find out what your customers are wanting from their trip, and then come to us. Pure luxury, our pure luxury ambassadors are so well experienced, and they can then really help tailor make that trip to ensure that what that guest wants to experience in Australia, they're pulling together a trip that's going to really reflect that individual need and want. That's probably something that I would say we're here to support in that respect.
Yeah, thank you. And coming back to you now, Sally, we've touched upon, I think, some of these experiences and places to stay, actually, that kind of more sort of sustainable travel experience, maybe away from the big hotels, something that's a lower scale and perhaps more closely linked to wildlife and the local community and whatnot. So how important is that sustainable travel element in tourism Australia at the moment? Is that something that's really growing? Are you promoting that as a message specifically?
We are, and I think, people were definitely looking for sustainable tourism experiences, and it was top of mind before the pandemic. Potentially post-pandemic, it's coming back to this concept of people really respecting the value of travel. I think that means that people are looking for real travel with purpose. So sustainable travel, in a way, is a subset of purposeful travel. And we know that so many businesses in Australia have innately been doing this for a long, long time. So what we're trying to do is shine the spotlight on some of the best practice, whether it's hotels or tour operators, just what people are doing so that consumers are aware of what is available and what they can purchase. And that could be anything from, a resort having a very limited or zero carbon footprint, so you're feeling good about the location where you're staying, to maybe an experience where there's an element of education or giving back as part of the experience. A great example is Echidna Walkabout in Victoria, where you learn a lot about the koala habitat in the Victorian bush, and part of the experience is actually planting trees to build these nature corridors so that koalas can move throughout various different regions. So that is where people can, get hands-on and involved. People love seeing wildlife in the wild, and one of the signature experiences groups is specialises in that. So it's basically Australian wildlife journeys, and they basically have a whole collection of operators where, whether it's swimming with whale sharks off the coast of Western Australia, to in Kangaroo Island, and seeing all the wildlife habitats in their natural environment. That is also part of it. But then the other thing that I think is really important, and we're really actively encouraging people when they're putting together itineraries, is also to seek out Aboriginal experiences. There is such a diversity of incredible businesses right across the country which are Aboriginal owned and guided, and that's distinctly Australian, and it's getting, I guess, into the DNA of the country and learning a bit about, the oldest continuous living civilization on the planet. And a lot of people think that you can only do that in the outback or in the bush, but there's some incredible guides in the cities. You can do a guided walking tour through the botanical gardens in Sydney and down around the harbour and learn the whole creation story in Aboriginal terms of Sydney Harbour. And things like that are just really enriching. I think a good place to start for a travel agent would be to look at the new website that's just been launched called Discover Aboriginal Experiences, which has a wealth of different experiences right across the country.
Great. Somebody's just commenting to say how many great Aboriginal experiences there are now. So it's like he's pleased to be selling that kind of product. And I think, flying from Hall to Australia, there is a carbon-related question there, isn't there? But if agents can be focusing on this is meaningful travel, and clients are going there and having cultural experiences and contributing to wildlife and all the ways you can travel with purpose, I suppose that's the secret, really. I think we might need to start wrapping up. I think we were due to finish at 2:40, so I think we will be out of time shortly. I'm just going through to make sure we've answered everybody's questions. Thanks, guys, for getting so involved with your questions and comments. Lots and lots of love for Australia coming through from our agents. John asks if we could possibly get a list of sustainable travel, sustainable champion suppliers added to signature experiences, maybe so they're a little bit easier to locate. Do you think that could be done, Sally?
That can absolutely be done. I will help send some links through. Yes.
Brilliant. And lots of agents saying how heartbroken they were about what happened at Southern Ocean Lodge. Very excited to see it reopen. Wonderful. Okay, I think I apologise for my technology here. I know my reception hasn't been fantastic, but I believe you will be being moved on to the next section shortly. So thank you so much, panel. It's been great to chat with you. Thanks, agents, for joining us. And please move on to the 4:40 session.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye.